The Gloster Gladiator was supposed to be obsolete before World War II even began. German pilots mocked it as a relic from the First World War, a slow biplane with fabric wings and open cockpits. But when German pilots met the Gladiator over Norway and the North Sea, their laughter stopped. They expected the Gladiator to fall apart under fire, but instead it pulled maneuvers they did not think a biplane in 1940 could still do. Stay until the end to find out how the Gloster Gladiator surprised the German Air Forces so much that they even made use of those they managed to capture. The biplane they expected to laugh at. In 1940, as the German Air Forces swept across Europe with modern aircraft like their Messerschmitts, Bf-109s and Bf-110s, they believed they were facing a new age of aviation. Sleek, all-metal, closed cockpit monoplanes were the future. So when German pilots encountered a British biplane with fabric wings, wooden frames, and an open cockpit, they could not believe it was still flying, even less that it was fighting back. That aircraft was the Gloster Gladiator, the last biplane fighter used by the Royal Air Force. Surprisingly, it became a small but stubborn problem for the German Air Forces during the early months of the war. A relic from another era. The Gladiator looked like something from the First World War. 2 wings, rigging wires, a single radial engine and a fixed landing gear. When it entered service in the late 1930s, it was already considered old-fashioned. Most nations were moving toward low-wing monoplanes. The Hurricane and Spitfire were already in production. The Gladiator seemed destined to be a footnote. Yet, when war began, Britain did not have enough modern fighters. The Gladiator was pushed into service across far-flung theatres, including the defence of Norway. And that is where German pilots got their first real look at it. The Germans expect easy prey. When the German Air Forces attacked Norway in April 1940, reconnaissance pilots and fighter escorts noticed a handful of Gladiators scrambling from improvised airstrips. In their reports, many German flyers called it an antique. Some thought it was a training aircraft. Others joked that the British had nothing better to send. They expected it to be slow, clumsy and unable to escape. A perfect victim for their Messerschmitt Bf-109s. But within days, those assumptions were proven wrong. The turn that surprised German pilots. The Gladiator could not outrun or outclimb the Messerschmitt Bf-109. But it had one thing the German fighters struggled to match: an incredibly tight turning circle. Pilots described how the Gladiator could swing around inside an arc so tight it almost seemed to pivot around a point in the air. When German fighters dove in for the final blow, the Gladiator could make a sudden hard turn and force the attacker to overshoot. One German pilot wrote that the biplane performed a surprisingly sharp turn that he did not expect from such an outdated design. Another reported losing the Gladiator momentarily beneath him because it turned too tightly to follow. For a brief moment, the old biplane had an advantage: shooting back. The Gladiator carried 4 machine guns, and in the hands of a skilled pilot, it could still deliver a burst that counted. During the Norwegian campaign, Gladiator pilots scored several confirmed casualties against HE-111 bombers and even damaged ME Bf-110s. In one recorded engagement, a Gladiator forced a Me-109 to break off after scoring hits on its wing. German pilots were shocked that this slow, open-cockpit biplane was not only manoeuvring well, but firing accurately enough to be dangerous. It was not supposed to be like this. The hard reality sets in. As the campaign progressed, the limitations of the Gladiator showed. It could not compete with the speed of German fighters. It lacked protection, it lacked firepower, and it could be overwhelmed by superior numbers. But what stood out to the Germans was not its weakness. It was its stubborn ability to survive. Several German Air Force reports described the Gladiator as unexpectedly agile. Others noted that it required caution, especially during low-speed engagements and low-speed dogfights. By the end of the campaign, the Gladiator had earned a strange respect. It did not change the outcome, but it proved that even a biplane could still fight effectively in the early stages of World War II. The legacy of a forgotten fighter. The Gladiator went on to serve in Malta, Greece and East Africa. It fought Italian biplanes in some of the last biplane versus biplane battles in history. Its pilots praised its forgiving handling. Its opponents acknowledged its surprising agility. And the Germans who first encountered it in Norway left one lasting impression. The old biplane should not have been a threat, but it was. German forces even captured several Gloster Gladiator biplane fighters during World War II, mostly ones that had belonged to Latvia and were taken over during the invasion of the Soviet Union. The German air forces did not use these Gladiators as combat fighters. Instead, they repaired the ones in good condition and used them mainly for glider towing and training duties. They assigned them to a support unit called Ergänzungsgruppe. The aircraft were sometimes fitted with German radios and given German serial numbers. They were flown without weapons and served only in secondary non-combat roles until around 1944. The Gloster Gladiator simply refused to vanish quietly. This is a true World War II story because sometimes the lesson from such encounters is that even outdated machines can still make history when flown with skill and courage. Do you agree? Let us know in the comments and subscribe for more true World War II stories.